Is this mic on? Okay, and I'm back. It's been a minute. Yeah, I know I haven't been on did an episode in a minute. Like I think I did like a bunch of episodes, but I just never put any of them out because I think at the times I was gonna put them out, it kind of felt like dated, and I didn't want to put out anything that's like really really dated because if it was dated, then it's kind of like. But then again, it's been like months. I think the last time I did an episode was in September. Why am I even doing this now? I know it makes me ask the question, but I feel like it's just something that's just been burning on my soul that I need to put it out. So I'm gonna go at this. God, this is just awkward. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm sitting asking myself now. I might as well go ahead and just do it because I'm out here talking. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. I gotta. Now you're probably wondering where have I been? Well, so I think when I did the episode, like I think I was like I had this job that kind of like took up most of my time, where to the point where like I was like working like 10 like to 12 hours a day and stuff like that, so I really didn't have time to really focus on anything. And I didn't like, it came to a point where like the time that I had off was basically used to like sleep and not think about the job, because sometimes when you're working a lot, you kind of forget like, oh my god, I have to do something for myself. I have to find myself. I have to do something to make me happy. And at the time when I was working at that job, I wasn't like fucking doing anything to make me happy, because I was like, all right. Because in my mind, I was like, all right, I gotta fucking pay my rent. I gotta do things to, I gotta just focus all the way on this job, just so I can pay my rent and stuff like that. But then I'm like, so I'm doing all this, right? So the job that I had, right? I don't care. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. So the job that I had, it was I was selling things, yeah, I was selling things. And then like, all right, so it's like a whole little setup, right? You know what? I'm gonna just talk about the beginning of the job. The beginning. All right, so I don't know how I found out about this job. I don't know how. I think I just applied on Indeed, and like, I'm like, oh shit, this is really cool. You find something on Indeed, so I went on Indeed, and I boop 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 applied for it, and it was amazing, right? Bang bang, I'm in there. Right? I go do the interview and stuff like that. We got this whole little, they do this whole little thing with the interview where they take you somewhere else that you're not supposed to, instead of doing it in the office, because of COVID times. Which I don't know if they did this shit before, but because of COVID times, they took you to a nice little different little spot, right? And so you take it to a different little spot. I do my second round interview, and as I do the second round interview, okay, cool. I don't know if I'm gonna come back, but I'm like excited, like all right, maybe I may be able to come back, because in interviews, like I don't know if y'all ever know about interview, but when you do an interview, you just feel like you just try to say everything that sound good. Like you never really say how you really feel. Like somebody come ask you like, yo, why did you apply to this job? Y'all guys are paying $14 an hour, right? Okay. Then that's exactly why I'm here. Shout out to my nigga Battles. But yeah. So like, I mean, I thought I did everything correctly, and apparently I did, because they called me back from a third round interview. Third round interview, I didn't know what he really said, but I did the third round interview and stuff like that. And then so I went in for the job, and I started working. And like, you like when you first start off, they have certain hours that you abide by, where you're like working a certain amount of hours. You're like, okay, cool. And then you find out, I ain't gonna lie, I was so confused on everything. Probably because I just didn't pay attention to it, but I was just so confused on everything. But at the time, I needed a job, because at COVID times, it was like not COVID times like during now. It's not that many places that's hiring. So honestly, you kind of take anything that you can get at that time. And at that time, I had to take anything I can get, because my landlord ain't gonna listen to me not paying my rent. I don't know if I don't know how people has it set up, but I kind of have to pay my rent, so I take anything at that time, right? So I started working there. Kind of find out it's a door-to-door salesman, and I'm like, what the? In my mind, I'm like, door-to-door. I mean, all you gotta do is just talk to people. I said, okay, cool. This may be good. It may be good for my, my comedy career too, because I can actually sit there and just talk to random people every day and just sit there and say everything. But you got like a whole little spiel that you have to go through and stuff like that. And so I started working there. I didn't understand certain things of the job, right? I really didn't understand. I was like kind of clueless, but in my mind, right? So at certain jobs, what they tell you, right, is But what the promise that they kept telling me was like, oh my God, you're gonna make so much money. You know, people who work here who's been doing this are making like at least $1,000 a week, right? Like at least like minimum $1,000 a week. So you think like, oh shit, these niggas making some fucking money, right? And because there's a thing at the job, it's a commission based job, and at the job, so since it's commission based, right, you can make as much money as you can as possible, right? So if you sell like 1,000 fucking so and so's, like you sell 1,000 watches, you can make the commission off 1,000 watches. So it's like the amount of money that you make is infinite, basically, right? So I'm like, shit, that sounds good. I could think I'm one of the best talkers I know. To me, right? I feel like I can sell anything. I feel like I can convince a coconut that it's an orange. I feel like I can. So I'm like, all right, shit, this may not be that bad, So I said, okay, I can do door to door. And at the time, no one else was hiring, right? So I got to take whatever I could take. But people were like, oh my God, did you want to do door to door? No, I didn't, but I did, right? So I started working there. Actually, I stayed, even when I felt like I should have left. Because it's a 3-week period before you get paid, right? Everybody knows the 3-week period before you get paid, right? And like, so how it had it set up with it was like, I was convinced that I was gonna get like a fucking like a $400 bonus or something like that, like some kind of bonus and stuff like that. And I ended up not getting it. Well, I ended up getting it, but like how they had it set up was, you're gonna get $400. You're not gonna not get $400. But what they do is they break it up, so you get $200 one week and $200 the next week. So you're like, okay, cool. Wasn't expecting that. I kind of need more. I still got to pay rent because $200 is not fucking good for any rent nowhere. Like unless I'm living out in the streets, and even then $200 is still a little rough one. Because if I give $200 to a homeless person, I mean he gonna look at me like, all right, it's gonna be good for like a week. What the fuck is $200? But whatever. But I stayed after that because I should have, like, I ain't gonna lie, I should have left after that. But I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, you know what? The way they telling me how you can make money here, I think it may be something that you can believe in. But then again, I'm not a fool. I really do understand. I'd be in my mind, I'd be thinking like in my mind, like all this shit that they was like saying, because they said like a lot of stuff, because they was all they preached a lot of motivational shit, like a lot of motivational shit, like they talk about Steve Jobs, everybody who you could think of motivational, Elon Musk, which I personally don't give a fuck about none of the motherfuckers, but like they preached motivation to the point like, okay, this shit sound good, they try to teach you, they try to get you motivated, trying to get you anything. So and then like looking back on it now, I know why they do that shit, right? And they preach motivation, they preach money, right? Because they say, they talk about how much they make, they talk about the money that's coming in, they talk about all that, of just to take your mind off of the fact of what you're actually doing. And what you're actually doing is fucking door-to-door salesman. And no matter what, door-to-door salesman is not a fucking good job, a fun job to have. Because you got to deal with, let's think about it, first off, that's not to mention it's COVID, right? But door-to-door salesman is like a job where you go, what the fuck? Because, let's say you knock on somebody's door, and then like, well, what the fuck is wrong with you? And they close the door in your face. And you got to be like, okay, have a good day. Have a good day. But that's what they teach you. They teach you stuff to be positive and stuff like that, right? So so that's what you're doing with door to door, right? So I started working there. The money that I was making was okay. It never was what they promised, but it was something that with a little help I can make it, right? I have a job, and eventually something will open up. So I started working there. But it came to a point like after the third month, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I'm not really making the money that I want to make, and I am fucking continuously like working and working and working and working and working, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what am I doing here? And then I just said, all right, whatever, fuck it. But here's the thing: I had loyal friends, friends consistently at my neck saying like, why are you working there? And I always told him like, yo man, I'm gonna fucking quit this job whenever I find another job. And I'm just still playing the apply game, right? I'm still applying for jobs, looking for another ways to like find another job, find another source of income and stuff like that, right? So I'm sitting there applying and shit like that. But as I'm still working there, and then my friend, like one of my friends, he had sent me a video, and it was a video of like, I don't know if you know what Shark Tank is. Well, nigga, who don't know who Shark Tank is? Shark Tank is like fucking the show, but they got this shit from fucking England, which what America does is like we take shit from England and we just make it 10 times better. We're not gonna get into specifics of why, but we do make everything that England does 10 times better, because England's a little dated, and whatever. We're not. England's a little dated, and that's why we just take shit and make it better. Because if you look at the show that he sent me, I think it's called Dragon's Lair. So Dragon's Lair is like Shark Tank. Well, it is Shark Tank, but it's like with fucking English rich people. So there's a lot of white people with with polished knobs. But it's a lot. So basically, that's what Shark Tank really came from. So, but on the show, they had these people, and they was selling fucking. They was selling something. I don't know why he sent me this shit, but he just sent me this. And they was selling something. They was selling what they was selling. Oh, I know what they were selling. They were selling water that you can create out of air, which really is a dehumidifier. They were selling the fucking dehumidifier, and you drink the water out the dehumidifier. And they was like, but they were selling that shit. And they was like, man, ain't no. But the English motherfuckers was talking about like, yo, we not gonna buy this. Like, first off, how do you even sell this? But the people who were selling it was like, we sure that this is a positive market. We can sell, and it's a certain ways you make sales. We have people that work do a 100% commission, and they do door to door, and they make money off this. But this is back in like '06 when they said this shit. And I was just like, this is '06 of like when this show came out, and then when that probably like '06 or '08 or some shit like that when all this stuff came out. And I'm just sitting there watching it, and when he said, yeah, they do a 100% commission, and they make a good living off this. And in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck? Because it struck a chord. Because I go, oh my God. oh my God. What am I listening to? Because it was like, all the shit that they were saying is like, that shit just made me realize that's what I was doing. And so like one of the English guys, he says, this is a pyramid scheme. You guys are running a pyramid scheme. And then I go, oh my God, oh no, not me. Oh my God. And then so I'm sitting there looking at this shit like, okay, I had to cut the video off and go to work, because I ain't gonna lie, I worked fucking 6 days a week. Because you work from Monday to Saturday. And sometimes I know people who work on Sunday, and I kept it all the way up being, I will never work on Sunday. Not even a little bit. I'm never working on Sunday. It's not gonna happen. No matter what, I'm not gonna work on fucking Sunday. But that's neither here nor there. But I'm saying, so I cut the video off and I go to work. I called my homie, my friend that I called him, and I was like, I didn't like that video that you sent me. He goes, you need it, you need it, because like, I think he wanted me to just, because like I'm very hard-headed, stubborn, all the above, what you want to, I'm all the above. So I think he wanted me to just fucking see it, like just like look at that shit. This is what billionaires have to say about what you're doing. And he goes, and I said, okay, fuck it. And so now when I seen that shit, I said, all right, I'm on my way out now. I'm gonna start getting ready to to leave this job. I'm actually just gonna leave this job. But I really was sitting there saying, like, maybe if I can make as much. I keep telling myself, if I can make as much money as I can at this job, right? So I'm sitting there. If I can sell as much stuff as I can sell at this job, then I can leave properly and fine, not have to worry about anything. Each time I kept telling myself that. That's why I ended up staying so long and stuff like that. So I'm sitting there, all right, maybe I can just do that, right? So, but it came to a point in time where, like, all right. But so since he already put that shit in my YouTube, you know how the YouTube algorithms work. If I don't know if you got to know what YouTube algorithms work. And how the YouTube algorithms work is they gonna send you other shit. So I see another video under it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this video? Right? And the video, on the video, it says something like, it was like an acronym that we all fucking know and we all kind of say, right? So when I looked at that video, I'm like, oh shit. And the video is like 2 hours long, right? The video is like 2 hours long, and it had like all kind of like shit that we did at this job. Basically the video was like exposing this job for being a whole pyramid scheme. Basically exposing this job for a whole pyramid scheme. And I'm like, so everybody's caught in the pyramid scheme? And yes, everybody's part of the pyramid scheme. And this is all started by this one white guy. We're not gonna, white guy always find a way to, win. But this shit it runs so deep, where like it's multiple companies, right? Because the only thing is really making only people who's like really making money is the companies that they're like pushing. But every person that makes money is like making money off the sides. So it's like a pyramid scheme, like a whole pyramid scheme where like, but if you're like working for like fucking a big company, they really making money, but the people that's like, out there, pushing the products are not really making the most money like it's supposed to be. So it's like a whole little thing that's like deep rooted, and it's like really, really deep. And I thought, so that video, I said, oh yeah, it's over. It's over. I'm leaving. And like, so I left. And after I left, I'm like, oh my goodness. I worked there for like, I think 3.5 months. And it wasn't like a fucking, oh my God, this is the best 3.5 months ever. It was like one of those 3.5 months where I'm like, what it does, what that job does is like, this is what it tells you, right? If you're not making money, because it's 100% commission, if you're not making money, then it's your fault. And when you're looking at shit like that, when it can be like on you that you're the reason why everything's not happening, you kind of feel down when you realize like, oh shit, it was your fault that it's not making money. But me, I know me, and like I really do know me. I used to always think to myself like, hey, it ain't my fault. I did everything I could do. Like I tried. I tried. Like I did everything. But like it came to a point where like a lot of people who was like sitting there in it, like in it trying to put their heart into it, was like, we used to like really like take it out on themselves when they don't do good, and it don't even be their fault. Like it really don't even be their fault, but like, because let's be honest, how many motherfuckers are gonna fucking buy? How many people are gonna buy from people selling shit that when somebody off a random motherfucker knocking on their door? Which I mean, a lot of people would do it, but you got to have a certain kind of product. You got to have a certain kind of way to come in. But I realized that with door-to-door salesman is that I realized that like, yo man, if I had like my own product, right? Let's say if I'm selling cleaning gear or some shit like that, like Zane's fucking cleaning supplies, right? And I'm selling my own cleaning supplies, and I'm fucking pushing it, and all the commission is all me, and it's a whole little setup, right? That's the best way to get your product out to the people if you're gonna do some shit like that, right? If you would do that, or if I'm selling DVDs, like let's say if I'm selling one of my comedy tapes, which I'm selling my comedy tapes, so I'm knocking on people's doors and I'm saying, look, you can buy this comedy tape and shit like that. $10 be the best $10 of your life, or like fucking $5 for be the best $5 of your life. And I'm knocking on fucking 1,000 doors every fucking day, and eventually out of those 1,000, hopefully 5 people are gonna buy it. Five people probably got like 5,000, but out of 1,000 people, 5 people are gonna buy it. And if that's how you want to push your product out to the streets, it's the best way to get it. Because I mean, what do? You get it at your house. You have no choice. You're gonna get your product straight at your house. I'm like, you can make so much fucking money. I mean, you can, like, if you really want to build up brand awareness, you can really build up a big, like, kind of like brand awareness about yourself and stuff like that. I mean, I also thought of that when I was, when I was doing it and I was working for the white man. So when I realized I was like working in a pyramid scheme, I was just like, oh my goodness. And like, it's crazy because people still work for the pyramid scheme now. And so when I left the job, I had to leave. When I left, I kind of did like the good old fashioned no call, no show. So you don't show up when they call you. I learned that from one of my older friends, where he told me, he says, oh yeah, you just get straight to the business with that. They understand, like, when you just don't call, don't show, they call, you just keep ignoring, they're gonna understand, like, oh yeah, he's not coming back, right? So, okay, cool. I did that, right? And after I left the job, I'm like, okay. But I was at the job for 3 months. I got I got to like fucking a point where I was doing like interviews. So I was telling people the same shit they was telling me. I was telling people the same shit they was telling me. I started teaching people. I'm showing people like how to lie, right? And like in a lot of situations where like at that job you used to like really lie to motherfuckers, right? So I'm sitting like you don't lie all the time. If that's not you, you don't lie. But sometimes you just gotta be like when motherfuckers like, so you telling me this won't affect my credit? Nah, it won't. Wait, I don't fucking know. I mean, because a lot of times here's the thing: if you don't know something, are you really lying to them? But then you find out at the end, find out the next day, like, oh shit, this really does do that. But that was the situation that I was in, where I was like doing certain things like that. But when I left the job, I'm like, okay, all right, so now it's time for me to find a new job. So I finally get calls from other jobs, right? But every other job that I got called from was like part of the same thing. That's how deep the pyramid schemes run. It's like everywhere. It's like certain people, they selling energy, perfume. It's so deep rooted. Like it's like crazy. And I'm like, and this is before I'm like, I didn't know this was like that. But everybody always tell you like, it's deep. Cause like I didn't know how deep serious this pyramid scheme shit was until like I started like looking like every person like when I was like I would get an interview, right? And since I did interviews before at that job, I know how the interview process is gonna go, right? Especially like so here's the thing with the COVID times. Oh, that's the best way to get an interview. That's the best way to do an interview because you can go, a lot of times with with these companies, during COVID, a lot of companies closed down, but our company is still booming. And when somebody hears that, they go, oh shit, for real? But then again, I know. So like I know. So like I started doing all these interviews and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, I know what they're gonna say. I know everything they're gonna say. And then I found out that shit is really deep. Like this fucking pyramid scheme shit is really deep. And I end up getting caught in a pyramid scheme. So that's why I've been missing. That's why I've been gone. I know it was like a 20-minute story of me telling you. And it's like 20-minute stories with like a bunch of gaps, right? Which is a bunch of gaps, that I didn't mention because I don't know if like let's say somebody listened to it and they say, oh my god, we're gonna sue me. So before they can sue me, watch this. This is how you get away out of a lawsuit. Allegedly, this is all allegedly. This, but no, this actually happened though. But allegedly happened, But it's because it's a 20-minute story. Like that's exactly why I've been gone. And I've been wanting to like talk about this on the podcast for so long. I've been wanting to drop another Untill I'm Famous podcast episode, and I haven't been able to drop a Untill I'm Famous podcast episode because I just like I felt like at the time if I would have dropped it at that time that I would have dropped it, it wouldn't have been right because it would have been like a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, and no one wants to hear. Cause I mean, it probably would have I probably would have blew the fuck up. But then again, if it would have blew the fuck up, then it's probably like no. I should have dropped it. But it's like, but I kind of want to make sure I'm like pretty clear and concise, when I'm talking about this, because I'm over it now. But it's like so funny that I actually like went through this shit. Like I even like it's crazy though, because I ended up stopped doing stand up for a little bit because I was like, here's the thing, I didn't want to stop doing and all the shit that I was doing, but I had to because like my rent had to get paid, and for my rent to had to get paid, I have to work. And I was working. I was working 72 hours a week. 72 hours a week for like a fucking $300 check mostly. Like I'm be honest with you, $500 at that job was a good day. You'd be like, God, that was a good week. $500. I swear to God, I promise you. You think it's funny when I say this shit now, but like back in the day, like when I was working at this shit, $500, I had a good week. That's not fucking good. $500 for 72 hours? What the fuck is wrong with you? Sit the fuck down. Like $500 is not good nowhere. Because if you was getting paid hourly and we like at least getting like 72 like $10 an hour, You supposed to make a minimum of 720. That's why motherfuckers do jobs hourly. Because if you do jobs hourly, you get paid for your time. Here's the thing. It's one thing I'm never gonna get back from me working at that job. That's why I kind of got over it. It's my time that I put in at that job. I put in fucking. Ow! I be like, oh man, this shit was fucking ridiculous. I'm so glad I left the job like a little while ago though. But like when I was working, I'm like, man, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm sitting there doing this shit like, and each time I went to work, I'm like, every single time I look in the mirror like, hey, you better than this job, right? So yep, and I still work there. It's the worst shit ever when you sit to tell yourself like, you better than this. I'm better than that. And then like, but I worked there for like fucking 3 months, 3.5 months, probably 4. I'm just gonna say 3.5 months because that sounds least terrible when I say. Because if I say I worked for like 4 months, ugh, it hurts my feelings. But yeah, so I worked there for that long, and I'm sitting there, I stopped doing comedy, and I didn't. It's the thing, when I stopped doing comedy, I felt like shit. I really did, because I feel like shit now whenever I don't do comedy. Like whenever I don't do comedy, it's not like a fucking. I'm not excited. Like my stomach hurts every fucking day. I feel like I'm on my period. If I was a woman, that's what a period probably feels like, once a month. But I get it like every fucking other day when I don't get on stage. I really do feel like shit, because it's something that like I want so bad. I'm like, you just gotta keep applying to it. But yeah, so I stopped doing comedy for this fucking job just to make money, And at that job, they always tell you about, money, you need money. But I know personally that money don't make you fucking happy. It just makes it a little bit easier in life. But at that job, I was just like, okay, fuck. And I worked there for, 3.5 months, even though I know I said that like fucking 3 times. And I'm glad I'm gone. And when I left, it was, I got a job now, which, whatever, it's not a pyramid scheme, and I'm actually getting paid hourly, thank God, right? And when I left when I finally got away from the job, I'm like, okay, cool. But then again, I'm like, oh my God, these motherfuckers are still hiring people. Like, it's so crazy where like if you'll go to a lobby, it'd be like fucking 50 people in there for a fucking interview, and like just consistently 50 people in there for like a fucking interview. And this shit is so big, it's like all around fucking America, all around the country, all around the globe. Like everybody's caught in this fucking pyramid scheme all around the globe. And I'm like, oh man, this shit is deeper than me. I would not be able to tear it down. And I just like, it's so crazy because like in that video that I had, it was so deep, where they was like talking about like all this shit, like the shit that they do, like how it's a whole brainwashing effect to it, where they're like trying to get you to do certain things. They like, so how does like, let's say where they don't have you sit down, right? The reason why they don't have you sit down because it's to control. It's so much shit that I was like, what the fuck? I'm really doing this shit. And after I came to the point where I realized, I'm like, oh my God. And then you also got to deal with the fact that when you tell yourself like, nah, not me. Nah, motherfucker, it is you. You are going through this shit. But if you was wondering where I've been at, that's where I've been at. I was dealing with that shit for a little bit. I'm glad I'm away, and I want to get back, and I'm gonna get back. It's a whole little process to it, but I'm glad I'm back, and I'm glad I actually did this little episode. This is like fucking 30 minutes, right? I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna come back as soon as possible, but I'm glad I'm able to drop this episode. I'm not gonna edit shit. I'm not gonna fucking look over shit. I'm just gonna put this out, and we'll see where this goes. And don't beat me. Don't be mad at me. I don't know why, but I feel like it's gonna be like a lot of fucking. We'll see. We'll see. All right. So hopefully I'm see you guys next time. You guys have a good day. Thank you so much.